Hey you guys, and welcome to my channel. Yesterday, under my 12 ways to make a narcissist week video, someone asked a wonderful question, and I really thought that the whole community could benefit from my answer. And then, as I had even thought about typing a response, I'm like, you know what? It's too layered, and it's actually pretty intricate here. So hopefully you have a pen and paper, which is a good way to deal with my channel. Like, have a running notebook as you're learning, have your psychology book or your self-improvement, or just, ideas that I give you that you don't want to forget. Like, write it down, take notes, because the teacher has arrived. So the person who asked this question, username focused on me, you, all right? Thank you, sweetie, and hopefully this helps you and many others on your journey. And as you can see from the title, the question was, how do we emotionally detach while being near them? And this is a real question, you guys. In the community, we definitely do talk about no contact a lot. And ideally, in a perfect world, yes, someone has abused us, someone has betrayed us, they have no signs of remorse or improvement. And even if they did, it doesn't mean that you have to forgive them and allow them to stay in your life. So yeah, no contact, getting rid of that person or removing yourself from them physically and energetically. All right. But that's in a perfect world. And we definitely do not live in a perfect world. So there are many situations to where you may have to still interact with a narcissist for countless reasons, and I cannot list them all on here, but I'll just name some of them. Maybe it's a coworker, or maybe it's your boss, and you do not plan on switching your job or career or anything of the sort, and that's fine. You don't have to do that, because trust me, they're everywhere. At your new job, there's going to be one somewhere as well. So running from it is not always going to be the answer in that career type of sense, if you will. It could be a family member that, maybe it's your parents and they're ill and you still have to, maybe they're sick and you're still taking care of their arrangements, and maybe you have a nurse that helps them on their day-to-day, but you're still in the background setting things up and doing this and that. And you're still, even though they did all these things to you in your childhood and maybe even throughout your adulthood, you're going to be there for them at this time in the way that feels comfortable with you, but you're still going through a process, of emotional detachment. Or maybe you're still going to have to deal with them at family functions and special occasions as the holidays are pending. You see what I'm saying? Maybe it's just someone that you're not gonna, maybe it's your college professor, who knows, that you have to deal with for this semester. I mean, we're not gonna, like, maybe it's your child, that you've decided, look, I'm not gonna cut all ties with them, but I'm gonna deal with them with a wooden stick. And there's so many situations. And maybe you've had a child with a narcissist, okay, or children with a narcissist, and now you have to parallel parent with them, and it causes you to have some sort of interaction with them, right? So how do you go about doing these things while you still are not out of the woods and processing the abuse, or getting your emotions to the breaking point where there's this upward swing, and it's like, okay, I'm okay now. I've done enough work to where interacting with them doesn't bother me at this point, and this and that. What do, you guys? So this is the video. I'm going to give you guys a lot of information. Hopefully you're able to, sit through this with me. If not, there's something called a pause button. You can come back and finish it at your leisure. I know we're all busy people. I decided not to break this up into 2 videos because I just want it all in one spot. It's here. Play, pause, rewind, fast forward, whatever. All right, and take what you can to help you on your journey. And with that being said, you guys, let's jump into my advice And this is definitely going to feel like a therapeutic session. So like I said, please take notes. Okay. So the first thing that I have here on my list, how to emotionally heal while still in contact with a narcissist, build your support system. Okay. A lot of times by the end of this relationship, maybe a lot of your relationships outside of the narcissist have suffered. You distance yourself, or maybe the narcissist worked to turn people against you, and maybe those people did. All types of things have happened, or you were just so focused on them that, the other relationships were neglected, if you will. Okay. This is a great time to reach back out to friends and family, and do not feel guilty and bad about it. Like, they understand how it is. Sometimes we fall in love, we'll put that in quotes in this situation, and we're just laser focused on this. It has happened to everybody, whether they were with a narcissist or not. So do not feel guilty about this, but I want you to begin to build your support system. And this is leaning on your friends and family, the ones that aren't toxic. Okay. You want more positive energy flowing back into your life. I want you to build a better support system with yourself as well, because the whole ideal here is that you want more love, support, and positivity coming into your life. You're basically trying to, at this point, counter energy. Okay, so let's just say you still have to interact with this narcissist. You guys are raising kids, parallel raising. And did I make a video on that? I know that I have with parenting, but did I make a specific video on parallel parenting? I have to check. I'm pretty sure that I've done at least one. For those of you who may not know what that is, okay? But you're basically trying to counter that energy. And let's say you were still only just primarily in contact with this person. It's like you're coming into contact with this energy that offends your soul, basically, at this point, and you're not countering it with anything else. So that's kind of like, I want to lose weight, but I'm just eating a bunch of junk food. Well, honey, if you eat that cake, you better counter it with working out on this treadmill to burn off those calories, or, do something to counter. Okay, well, for everything unhealthy, I ate something healthy and I worked out, or, and it's some way of balancing the scales out. So if you have to interact with this energy, if you must, and it's necessary at this point or season in your life, you're going to have to counter that energy. And that's what the building of the support system is. You may need to also build the support system through therapy, if you will, or getting coaching, something that I offer you guys. If you want to go from being emotionally disgruntled or feeling off balance emotionally to feeling more balanced and centered and peaceful, we have to counter the energy. So you want to put massive amounts of energy that it's positive and uplifting and support and loving. You want to have so much of that in your life. So, when you do have to come into contact with that other energy, it's so minute compared to all of this positivity that you have. And welcome to the community. If you're new to the narcissistic abuse community, there's plenty of wonderful channels even outside of my own that you guys can get information, and you're definitely welcome here as well. I have 2 support groups, okay? A public one on Facebook and a private one. People really love both, but the public one, people go on there, they post up, interact with each other, and these are good things as well, good tools as well, okay? And that's not going to hurt. The other thing, you guys, in building your support system is we can't forget about the spiritual one, God. God, all right? So make sure, this is a good time to tap back in for those of you who may have backslid or got disconnected or not as focused, as we may have put the narcissist or put this person, giving them too much space in our life, okay? And spiritual getting or building that spiritual support. It would look like prayer. It would look like meditation. For those of you who do believe in the Bible, will be reading the Bible more often, talking to God, having conversations with spirit. Yes. Telling them how you feel and what your concerns are, and utilizing it to lay it at the altar, if you will, giving something over to God. Like, look, I've done my best in this situation. I need your help. Can you help me? He hears, and he knows our hearts and our spirit and our soul. That is a beautiful, beautiful asset that you have that I wouldn't want you to not take advantage of. Okay. So, yes, building your support system, number one, you guys. Make sure you build your support system. It's not the time to go at it alone. It's not the time to necessarily stay in this hermit mode. Yes, have you time, have your private time. Yes, but that is completely different than isolating yourself from the world. Okay? Support system is very important. All right. Number two, you guys, continue to be a student and continue to educate yourself more. And the more that you're educating yourself, it's going to help you increase your self-awareness, especially if you are looking into the things that are going to increase your emotional maturity on this topic. It's going to help you specifically with this. So you want to be looking into things like stress management, okay? You want to be looking into how to positively self-soothe. And you can research on negatively as well, because it may expose things that you may be doing to negatively self-soothe that are self-sabotaging you if you aren't aware of it already, okay? And then if you are aware of it, researching it can help you understand how to counter that, all right? So you want to look into that. You want to learn more about psychology, basically. Learn about projection. Learn about codependency, you guys. Research trauma bonding. I have lots of great videos here on it, even from a scientific approach. Look into that. Learn about triggers, okay? Because all of this stuff, it was actively occurring while you were up close with the narcissist, before the discard, or before you've had, maybe this physical shift or emotionally stepping back as much as you could anyway at that point. These things were happening, chances are, in the relationship, and to some extent in a healing process, especially if you're asking me, how can I still emotionally detach? They're still present. So you have some loose ends that you're going to need to be tying up, with things like this, these subject matters right here. So you want to, learn what you can on that, okay? And take what you can in your self-awareness to help you on your journey, okay? So the next thing I have here on my list, you guys, is we need to acknowledge or be aware that you are going through a grieving process. Some loss has been had here. Whether, just because you're physically still seeing this person doesn't mean there's nothing that you're going to be grieving here. There's loss of the perception of the relationship you thought you had, or, especially in marriage and romantic relationships, when you've had children, or you thought someone was your best friend. There's just a mother, father, like these deep defining relationships. There's a grieving process, where someone has dropped the ball, someone has had a deep betrayal, and there's a loss here. There's a loss of trust. There's a loss of love. There's a loss of what could have been. There's a loss of what you thought it was during the love bomb phase. So you're going to have to go through a grieving process, because, this relationship has physically shifted, and we're trying to get the emotional shift. But that could feel uncomfortable as well, because you're going through a grieving process to get to a certain point of that emotional shift to where it's not feeling so burdensome. Okay. And for those of you who don't know the stages of a grieving process, there are 5. And then I'm even seeing nowadays they have 7. And I'll go ahead and intercept them here. But the traditional, okay, the traditional 5 stages are denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. Okay. Now, the New Age, they put pain with denial, and then they have anger, bargaining, depression, acceptance, and then the upward turn, where you're finally feeling like, everything's going to be okay, instead of having that constant feeling of, something's coming from around the corner, like what's going to happen next. And, you're feeling optimistic finally. So that's more of the New Age insert. And, I guess I can understand, that is, getting through, having your breakthrough moment. Yeah, that's true. But before I move on, I do want to say about the grieving process, it's not, set in stone, the orders per se, and you can regress, you can bounce in between stages. So I want you to know about that. Yeah. Oh, you know what? Actually, they put shock with denial. They put shock with denial. And then they say denial, like shock with denial. Sorry, you guys. Then anger, bargaining, depression, pain and guilt and acceptance. They have it like, they put shock with denial, not pain. Although obviously you can feel pain, okay, with any of those stages, except for, acceptance. You're generally not feeling the pain then, but, you can feel that within all of those. I just wanted to correct myself. So they put shock with denial. And then they have pain and guilt. Those are the two things that they're changing. All right. You guys know I don't like to edit. So even though, the spirit tell me, girl, you're going to have to do it sometimes. It is what it is. So the next thing that I have here on my list, you guys, after acknowledging the grieving process and the 5 stages of that, you need to work to minimize your interactions as best as you can, and use a third party when you can. So if you can pass a message through someone else, or the third party can be a phone. Like, we don't even have to have, I avoid voice calls when necessary. I'll just text you. Or a computer, I'll just send you an email, okay? Minimizing interactions means don't sleep with them and continue to have sex if that's something that can be avoided. If you guys aren't together, why are you doing it? You got to know who you're sleeping with. And watch my video, you guys. I made a video several months ago about understanding the exchange of sexual energy. So please watch that video. If I'm allowed to click it on my end screen after I upload this video, I'll do so. Okay? I'll do so. But yes, minimize your interactions down to the barest minimal or the lowest common denominator. So we're getting rid of unnecessary interactions here. Small talks that you don't have to do. All right? The next thing on my list, you guys, is you may need to tighten your boundaries, or you may now need to create new boundaries that you didn't have before, the realization of who you were dealing with, what they did to you, and all these things. So you may have to tighten the boundaries you thought you had before and you weren't enforcing them appropriately, and create new ones. All right. And you may need to have someone help you with that. Maybe help you stay accountable to these boundaries, or help you come up with a strategy to what type of boundaries you may need to be incorporating, you guys, right? And this strategy thing is going to require you to be a little bit more premeditative. Like, okay, I have to have a phone call with this person, or we have to meet here to exchange the children, or whatever. I have to go into a meeting with my boss, and just premeditating interactions. A lot of times with survivors in the past, you'll find that you've been more reactive instead of proactive in situations, whereas the narcissist was plotting and they were being proactive and premeditating, and you're just being reactive. So, when tightening these boundaries and creating new, become more of a premeditative type of person. And this means having a wall up that they can't cross, or a bridge, basically, picture a bridge that they're not allowed to cross. All right. Because my concern is, in these type of situations, especially with the boundaries, you guys, when a narcissist takes an inch, they're just licking their chops sometime, knowing that they're going to take a mile. They're judging you by the person that they used to know, or if they felt like your boundaries were weak in the past. And yeah, they'll feel like they can do this and that. But it doesn't matter what they think, it's what you know. Whether they're accepting this truth or not, is what you know. All right. If you're making a shift, if you've leveled up on your boundaries, okay? Because I don't want you guys to be caught off guard either, because that could trigger you, especially when you're dealing with someone that abused you, into some type of crisis mode. And when we're in crisis mode, we fight, we flight, or we freeze, and I don't want you to be in like a freeze for sure, And usually when we premeditate things, it's not catching us off guard as much. Even though I'm going to be real with you guys, no matter how much we may premeditate, you may be like, I thought about it, but when it actually happened, these feelings gushed over me and I froze and I just felt awkward and weird, and it brought back all of these things, because it was one thing to think about it and it was another thing to actually have it happen again, And this is for people that were no contact and they bump into the narcissist, and the narcissist sounds all sweet. Hey, how you doing? And it's like you're coming up to me, you're speaking to me like you didn't do all this stuff to me. And it just made me feel awkward, because it's socially awkward at this point. Like, number one, they're playing dumb and they're acting, they're gaslighting at this point in a certain level. And it's like, really? So so premeditating is going to help you guys, even though those of you who are in no contact and are just watching this video because you are psychology junkies and you just love to soak this stuff in like I do. Hello. But my concern is, I don't want them to be pushing your boundaries and stretching your boundaries and then trying to get you back to the way things were before. Okay? So important, you guys. So important. But if our emotional maturity is aware of that, we can be on the lookout for it. We'll see when it's happening and we've premeditated, or we'll know what we'll do. You see what I'm saying? All right. With that being said, you guys, we can go to the next thing, which is having a psychological shift. Psychological shift. And, of course, things are kind of interconnected here. Of course, when we're learning and increasing our information, we're going to have that psychological shift. But this here is going to be more about disempowering them. And that comes when we aren't in victim mentality, you guys. And it's when we're not feeling like we're going to be vulnerable to them or we're some type of prey. All right. The psychological shift also happens when we shift our expectations of them. And so we're not surprised when a narcissist does what a narcissist will do, right? So, they're not your soft place to fall. They're not your friend, okay? And even though this person is your mother, they're not motherly. You see what I'm saying? So there has to be a shift in these expectations. And sometimes that may come with reassigning a title. This wasn't the love of your life. You see what I'm saying? When you put that type of title to someone, it brings in so many emotions, you guys. And not only, it's not accurate. Number one, it's not true. All right. But it's causing you to stir up emotions by just even approaching it from that angle. So if you just start looking at them like that's a narcissist, yeah, that person gave birth to me, but that's a narcissist. So we have to be very careful with this, because we often take things personal based on titles, even though it's not really personal. When we study the psychology of things, it's actually so not personal that it's textbook, that they have the cycle of abuse that they're performing on, everyone that they meet. That's how not personal it is. But because they use personal relationships to gain trust and access to people, and the other person is taking it and building emotionals, because they're actually going in for real while they're not, because they have attachment issues. And while it wasn't kind, just, and fair, if you will, it wasn't personal at all. They're using personal dealings to get one up, at least initially, or during that process. But it's not, okay? But it's not. And it's so important to realize that. All right? That's a big one, you guys. I talk about perceptions all the time. All right? The next one, you guys, is we're going to have to make new rules, okay? And this comes with the boundaries. But I have to separate the boundaries from the rules a little bit, just because I want you guys to really make a list. I want you guys to do this. And the list would look something like, I'm not taking any more disrespect or abuse. Okay, I may have to have a phone call to orchestrate with the narcissist how we're going to, what time we're going to pick up the kids this week, and yada, yada, yada. But once the conversation goes into the left field and they're being disrespectful in their interaction with me, or they're verbally abusing me at that point, looks like we're going to have to talk about this another time. You're being disrespectful and abusive. Click, because you're still going to have to interact with this person, but the boundary is, through your rule, if you're going to talk to me moving forward, it's going to be polite, it's going to be respectful, it's going to be with class and dignity, whether you like it or not, or else we're going to have to try again. You see what I'm saying? And this would require you to be the adult, the emotionally mature adult that they aren't. You have to kind of see them as a stunted, evil child throwing a tantrum. And children are just that. Even evil ones. Children are just that. And they don't always understand the rationality of an adult. Why they have to have a bedtime, why they can't stay up all night, why they can't eat all this candy at one time. Okay? So when you have to make decisions, and out of your emotional maturity, being the adult, and this narcissist, this stunted evil child, right, throwing a tantrum, doesn't understand, we understand why. They're a child, first of all. Okay? So don't expect for them to get it all, but make your boundaries, stand firm on them, and this is your rule. All right? So I'm giving you these general ones to start, but then you can personalize it depending on, how you have to interact with this narcissist, all right? So another rule could be, before we move on to the next thing, not trying to change or save them. I can only change my interactions or involvement with them, okay? All right? And it doesn't mean that you don't care. It just means that you're finally understanding what's your battle and what's not, and what's yours to pick up and what's not, okay? What's your responsibility and what's not. So have these general rules. I gave you 3. Not tolerating the disrespect or abuse. Being the adult, even when they're not. And not trying to change or save them any further. Okay? And then you can come up with some specific ones. And then if you need help, coaching is good for you. Therapy is someone to help you figure out what's a good way to mentally approach this, or psychologically, depending on how you have to interact, all right? All right, so the next thing that I have here on my list, you guys, is to work to minimally minimize your triggers and, or if not, get rid of them, okay? And this will require that self-awareness for you to actually know what the triggers are, right? And consider the psychological weight behind those triggers. We're going to be dissecting that. So you may need therapy or coaching to help you work through these things. All right. And I have videos, lots of content here on this channel to help you with triggers as well. All right. The next thing I want to say is let the interactions with the narcissist reveal tender spots that still need your attention. So rather than getting upset about it, just take note of it. Take note of it and address it. Like, don't make this a bad thing. Like, oh man, I still really get worked up or upset when this happens, or man, this is still really having a hold on me. I'm going to have to address that and look into this. Because the idea is to minimize and or eventually get rid of this, okay? And sometimes it may be the perceptions or the stories that we're telling ourselves. And that's why I had to mention earlier, you know, victimizing or being someone's prey or being vulnerable to them, all right? Good. So the next thing that I have, you guys, is take them off the throne. And I know some of you are like, throne? That ain't my king or queen, right? No, not that kind of throne, you guys. But as far as making them the boogeyman type of throne, okay? The scary thing under your bed, you know? Because when you look at them as this, as opposed to this, that is a huge difference, you know? That is a huge difference, you guys. And this is a part of disempowering them. So, we're getting there, you guys. We're getting there with this session. So the next thing is keep a positive attitude, all right? We want to be speaking victory over this situation. We want to have positive talk. We want to have a can do, will do type of energy here. We don't want to be self-defeated, you know. This positivity can stem from finding gratitude in your life, you know, and just not making this problem bigger than you, okay? And knowing that there's an answer for it, even if the answer is outside of yourself. If you don't feel like the answer is within yourself, go ahead, find it. You know, this is what Google is for. This is what this channel is for. You know, this is what therapy and coaching is for, you guys, you know. And keeping this positive attitude, obviously you're going to have to address any types of depression or PTSD that you're experiencing as a result, all right? You want to get those things under control as well. I'm trying to think. I thought it was one more thing that I wanted to mention to you guys. Was it one more thing? Or did I? Because I put another asterisk like I was going to write something, you know, and didn't. So I'm like, was I going to write something else? Or did I just write that asterisk just because I was making my bulletins and it was just like automatic? Let me take a second to thank you guys. But I really hope that the information that I've given you thus far, you know, is going to help you on your journey, of course. No, I think that I just wrote it as out of knee jerk. I think that I did, you guys. All right. So what I'm going to do now at this point is just go down each bulletin. I'm not going to summarize it, but I'm just going to go down each bulletin. All right. To make those just nice and crystal clear. To summarize this video, how to emotionally heal while still in contact with the narcissist. Number 1, you're going to build your support system. Number 2, you're going to continue to educate yourself on psychology. Okay. Number 3, you're going to be aware that you are going through a grieving process. All right. You're still doing that. Number 4, you're going to minimize your interactions with them. The interactions that you do have, minimize them. Number 5, you're going to tighten your boundaries or create new ones. Okay. Number 6, you're going to work on having your psychological shift. And this is a part of disempowerment or disempowering them. Okay. Number 7, you're going to create new rules. New rules, baby, because it's a new sheriff in town. Number 7. Wait, are we on number 7? You guys could tell I haven't been sleeping, right? All right, it's number 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We're up to number 8. Number 8, we're going to work to minimize the triggers, okay? Usually I number these. Gosh. Work to minimize the triggers. Or, get rid of them. Best case scenario. All right. Number 9, we're going to let our interactions with them reveal the tender spots that need our attention. Number 10, we're going to take them off the throne. And number 11, we're going to have a positive attitude, all right? And know that we can do this and get through this. Great, great, great. So, thank you for getting through this video with me. And I hope that it has really been helpful to you on your journey. You can do this, you guys. You can. You can, you can, you can. If you have any other video requests, you can leave them down here in the comment sections. If you want to add any suggestions, I have a running thread down here of all of us helping each other and giving some helpful ideas that you want to leave. Go ahead and do that. All right. With that being said, thank you for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe, like, share the video. All right. If you feel like it was helpful, each one teach one, right? And at the end of the video, might as well do our sign off then. Thank you for tuning in. Never give up on yourself. Never. All right. Continue to do the work. And until next time, take care, you guys.